So out at Cisco Live in Amsterdam last week, Cisco were obviously making lots and lots of noise, understandably so, around Hypershield, around AI defense, and around the hybrid mesh firewall functionality that they're looking at for the future. Now, after that, I was walking around the event, talking to customers, talking to attendees, and I think there's actually something that's being missed from the messaging a little bit, and that is that customers don't actually realize or understand how this impacts them. What are their use cases going to be for AI defense when it comes to the market? So I wanted to kind of split it down into three typical use cases or examples that I found from talking to customers. So the first of these use cases, I think, is going to be something that is going to be quite typical to pretty much any organization. It was definitely kind of top of the list for use cases when I spoke to customers last week. So this is going to be those organizations that are knowingly or unknowingly using GenAI platforms. So this is your DeepSeek, Gemini. So the second scenario is the one that I actually think personally is the most interesting. This is going to be those, I imagine, probably kind of mid-market commercial sized customers that don't actually realize that they are using AI in some way, shape or form. I went through a great example. There was a car manufacturer out in the States, it was Chevy, I believe. They were using a public-facing chatbot. So this is essentially a model that you train to generate responses to specific questions. Now, their model wasn't well trained. And they had a customer that went onto that chatbot and essentially committed legally to purchasing a Chevy, I don't know what model, but essentially for $1. And that got held up in court. So there's going to be all these use cases coming out. And I think Cisco actually need to help customers understand these and really document, the kind of examples of organizations that are using AI models in some way, but don't really realize that they're doing so. How do you make sure that those models are providing non-malicious content to the end user, making sure that they're trained on accurate information? Really going to be challenging to kind of build out those use cases for customers. Finally, we're going to have those larger enterprises that are going to have very kind of predefined, well-documented and well-planned out ways in which they want to consume kind of the large language models and how they want to streamline efficiency, improve customer experience, etc., etc. Now, the way I think they're probably going to be consuming AI defense is making sure that relevant guardrails are put in place to make sure that responses don't deviate and that the AI platforms that they're creating are maintaining that kind of very definitive output that they're building them for. Another thing to factor in is that these large language models, when you import them, not a lot of people realize that you can actually embed executables within those models. So I think, again, for the larger enterprise, another kind of function that we'll see delivered from AI defense is making sure that when those models are imported, that they're pulled in from a safe source. Like we can understand the destination domains that users access. We want to make sure that we're validating the source of those models, but also making sure that those models themselves don't contain any form of malicious content.